Hey guys, 5 apps you gotta have if you're gonna travel this season. Stand by and I'll count them down for you. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share, and do all that good stuff. Hey everybody, Walking Man Walks back. It's travel season, winter's coming. I'll be heading to the Philippines, and today I'm gonna talk about the 5 essential apps that I travel with, that if you're gonna travel this winter, next summer, whenever, you need to have these 5 apps. Okay, so the 5 essential apps for travel in 2024 that I use to travel and you're going to need if you're going to travel, or some combination of them. Starting with number 5 is Maps Me. Now, Maps Me is like Google Maps, but it's not. So it's called maps.me. There'll be a link for it in the description. I learned about this app in 2017 when I was traveling in Costa Rica. I met this French girl there, and I traveled with a bit with her and her friend from Malaysia, and she turned me on to this app. She showed me what it was all about. At the time, I was using Google Maps. I think Maps.me had been around maybe two or 3 years at that point. Anyway, Maps.me is a crowdsourced navigation app that you could download the country you're in, and you don't need to be online. And this has saved my ass more than once since I've been using it. So the big thing is you don't need an internet connection, and a lot of the times you'd be amazed at places I've been and I've had Maps.me downloaded. Now, the key is you have to download the app before you go out of service, which, if that isn't obvious. So you could download by the country, you can download by, like in the US, it's cut up by regions. In a little country like Costa Rica or Nicaragua, you could just download the whole country. There's a free version, there's a paid version. I think on the paid version, you could probably download the whole world. On the free version, I've had to shuffle, like if I'm moving around a lot, flying from one country to the other, I got to download one country at the airport and upload another country, but it's well worth it. I mean, this has saved my ass. In Colombia one time, I was looking for an Airbnb, no service. I hadn't gotten a phone chip yet, and this map took me right to the front door of this Airbnb in like downtown Medellin, a crowded city where everybody's speaking Spanish. I knew a little Spanish, but Maps.me definitely saved me there. And another great thing about it is that same place, when I left that night to go get dinner, I just put a pin in my hotel or Airbnb, because the Airbnb, some countries it's really obvious where your Airbnb is, or some places, some cities, depends where you are. But like this particular one in Medellin, it was just a door on a busy city street, just a blank door with a little number on it. It'd be really hard to find. So yeah, Maps.me that's probably, I put it at number 5, but it's probably my number 1 most essential app for travel, especially if I'm going somewhere that I haven't been before. Maps.me has put in several integrations in the last several years since I've been using it, and I don't have much experience with them, but if you're going to travel, go ahead, download it, try it out. It's got integrations that Google Maps has now for the most part, like hotel, restaurant, grocery store, and it'll find it for you. But Maps.me is definitely better than Google Maps when you're outside of the US. When I'm in the US or maybe Europe or something like that, I'll use Maps.me. So number 5 is Maps.me, essential navigation app for travel. Okay, and number 4 is Remitly. I've talked about this before. I'll link the Remitly video here. So Remitly is a cash app, basically. You could send yourself money in many different countries. Remitly sells themselves as a remittance app. So, say somebody from the Philippines moves to the US or the Middle East and gets a good job and they want to send money back to their family, that's called remittance. Or, a guy's dating a girl in the Philippines or married to a girl in the Philippines, but he has to go back to the US and work, so he sends her money sometimes. In my case, when I'm there, I'll send myself $500 at a time cash through remittance. It costs like $1.99 or $2.99 if you do it straight from your bank account, but it's there almost instantly. You get cash. Another nice thing about Remitly is you could also send it your cash app, so like Apple Pay or Gcash in the Philippines or M-Pesa in Kenya. I mean, they're all over the world, but basically the United States version Apple Pay, in Philippines it's Gcash, but that's completely free. Like if my girlfriend calls me in the Philippines and she says, "Oh, I'm stuck somewhere, I need some money for a bus or something like that," I could send it to her instantly on Gcash, completely free. I mean, when you spend the Gcash, a lot of times they'll charge you like, I think sometimes it's like 20 pesos if you get cash, which is about 50 cents. And if you just spend it, it's like 1% of what you buy or something like that. Like all those apps, pay apps, there's a percentage that they take from you when you pay for it. Of course, they got to get their cut, the banks, right? But anyway, Remitly is a great app. I'll link it below. Full disclosure, I am a partner with Remitly, so I think if you sign up, it's free for you to sign up, but if you sign up, I get like $10 or something like that, just so you know. Totally worth it. There's another one called World Remit I used to use, and I'm not saying don't use World Remit. There's other apps too, actually, like Western Union. World Remit let me down one time. I was somewhere abroad and I needed to get money, and they closed me out of my account. So I had to go through a day's worth of. I've never had that issue with Remitly, so I stick with Remitly and I don't use World Remit anymore. But Remitly is the one I'd go with. It's been the most reliable for me. It's a great way to send yourself cash, send a friend cash, pay somebody. You could send money on Remitly through your bank or through a debit card or through a credit card. Now, there's an extra charge with a credit card, so I don't use one. I usually do it straight out of one of my bank accounts. Okay, the number 3 app you have to get is Grab or Uber. So in Africa, it's Uber. All over Southeast Asia, it's Grab. Obviously in the United States and a lot of Europe, it's Uber. But Grab has saved me in Southeast Asia more than once as well. Being somewhere where I have no idea where I am, you can just get on the Grab app on your phone, put in the address and call for a cab, and they'll take you back to your hotel or wherever you want to go. Last summer, I was in the Philippines for a month for a wedding. A typhoon hit. I had to change my ticket at the last minute, so the ticket I had to take back to get back to work in the US was 5 different airplanes. It was insane. It was like 50 something hours. It was all I could get. It was an insane amount of money. But anyway, I had a 24-hour layover in Kuala Lumpur, which I love Kuala Lumpur. It was a fun 24 hours. But I had never been there. I had no idea about the language. I had no idea about the money, the Malaysian the Malaysian ringgit. And I had no money, so I got to the airport like 3 in the morning. I had already booked a hotel on actually the next app I'm going to talk about, Airbnb. I booked a room. It was like $27 for the night, super cheap. US 27 US for the night. I just needed it for like 10 hours of sleep and then back up, get something to eat, and go to the airport. But everything was closed in the airport when I got there, and it was 3 in the morning. And there was nobody around. I had no idea how I was going to get there. I had no ringgit, no Malaysian money. So instead of going and looking for an exchange and finding some money to exchange and all that, I just got on the Grab app, called a Grab, because it's paid for right out of my bank card that I have already loaded on the app. They came and picked me up. There was a little bit of a language barrier, but I used my Google Translate, which is also another app I'm going to talk about. But anyway, I used the Grab, got on there. You don't have to talk to anybody. You put in where you are at the airport. Okay, we'll find your car, just like Uber. A car comes and gets you. You could pay them. This is unlike Uber, I think. I've used Uber a lot, and I don't know if you have this option in the US. You might in Africa, actually, with Uber, because I've used it a lot in Africa. But you could pay in cash, or you could pay right off your card. So you have the option to pay in cash, and they do that, I would imagine, because a good amount of people in Southeast Asia probably don't have a card to put on there. They probably want to pay in cash, unlike the West, where almost everything's done by plastic these days, or some kind of app or card or something like that. But anyway, Grab. If you're going to Asia or if you're going to Africa, it's Uber, or obviously the West, it's Uber. It's a must-have in a foreign country. Download Grab before you get there. Another thing is you can only have Grab on one phone. I messed up when I went to Thailand last year, and I brought my phone that I didn't have Grab on. Luckily, Charisma had her Grab app on her phone, so we just used that the whole time. But it's a big hassle to change it all over to your other phone, and yeah, so keep that in mind. You can only have the Grab app on one phone. Okay, number 2, like I promised, Airbnb. Airbnb I've used I mean, I'm highly rated on there now, which is good. So you get it's an app. You can rent somebody's house, you can rent somebody's tent, you can rent a hotel, you can rent basically anything that's available on there. And it could be anything, but I mean, you get a full description and you get pictures, you get an idea of how the host is because they're rated by other people. You can read, just like on Amazon or eBay or Temu, you could read reviews of the place and decide if you want to go there. And I've had a few bad Airbnb experiences, but not many. And a lot of Airbnbs are great. I stayed at a 5-star hotel in Thailand last year. That was an Airbnb for $27 a night. So keep that in mind. You can get crazy deals on there certain times of the year. Another reason I love Airbnb to travel with is because it comes right out of my PayPal account. No cash. I don't have to show the card. It's just boom, boom. It's paid for when I get there. That's it. And I keep it all tidy. All my hotel arrangements, all the costs are in one place. I mean, occasionally I have to step out of Airbnb. I've been in places where there's no Airbnb, but I do like to use Airbnb, occasionally booking.com. But number 2 app that you have to download, Airbnb. Number 3 app to download for traveling, Grab. And finally, the number 1 app, and these are in no particular order from good to bad, is Google Translate. Google Translate, I was using it last year in Thailand because the Philippines, you don't need Google Translate. Everybody speaks English. But I've used it in many Spanish-speaking countries and Southeast Asian countries, Japan, Thailand, Malaysia, where they don't speak. Singapore, they do and they don't speak English. It depends what part you're in, basically, of a lot of those countries. Japan, nobody speaks English. Thailand, not a lot of people speak English. And all the signs are in Thai, which is a different alphabet, a different everything. The nice thing about Google Translate, and I just discovered this a few years ago, I think I was in Thailand, and I was looking for a medical clinic. My girlfriend had got an infection in her toe, and you can't really read the signs. The cab driver didn't really speak any English. He didn't know where the clinic was, so I was trying to read the signs along the road. And you can just hold up your phone and it'll translate it on Google Translate right on your phone, which is super convenient. And another thing you can do is speak into it and then hold it to the person you're translating to, and it'll translate it for you with an AI voice. So the number 1 app on this list is Google Translate. Like I said, there's no particular order. Those are the 5 apps that I have to travel with. And I think they would come in handy for most people traveling. And what does it hurt to have them? Okay, guys, thanks for watching my channel, sitting through my video. Go ahead and comment. If you've used these apps, good, bad comments, I want it all. I know a lot of people hate Airbnb and some of the other ones, but go ahead and comment below. I'll have links to everything below, and that's a wrap. And we'll see you next time.